We just want a piece of the pie. So we pack our bags and run. Said we pack our bags and run. Trying to walk on the wire. Cause there's nothing we cannot overcome. Nothing we cannot overcome. They don't realize. They don't realize. We're gonna take our time. We're gonna rule the world. It's our time. Our time. We're gonna take our time. It's our time. They're not gonna make us alive. They must not know how we do. They sure don't know how we do. Cause we're gonna fight to survive. They will not knock us off our feet. They will not knock us off our feet. They don't realize. We're gonna take our turn. We're gonna do it. It will come to no surprise. We'll climb the rock on high. It's not a new chapter. To fill the pages of love, life, and laughter. I pack my bags with the head to the light, and I'm ready to claim my dreams, and I'm ready to take the flight. And I look at it in my heart. I feel a little fear. I'm racing towards my destiny. I gotta keep my conscience clear. The blue sky got a star. I should be standing on. It's my turn, and I'm ready to take the world on. We're gonna take our time. We're gonna rule the world. Rule the world. We're gonna take our turn. We're gonna rule the world. It's our time. We're gonna take our turn. It's our time. We're on to rule. We gon' rule the world. Yeah. All right, guys. All right. Good evening. It's your girl Anaya A, and we are back live. And tonight we had a few technical difficulties. You know, as we go through life, trying our best to do the right thing, to do the positive things, right? We're going to always come across issues, but it's up to us to say that we're going to keep going forward no matter what. So tonight was one of those nights where we had a couple of hiccups, but guess what? We made it, and we made it before time. And I say that because sometimes we're on a lot later than we expect. But tonight we made it in ample timing, and I'm so excited that I have each and every one of you who are a part of this show, right? And who is joining us, because it's a very important topic that we're going to be talking about. And we have three special guests who will be coming on at 9 p.m., around 9 p.m. or so. We have three special guests. We have a panel for all of you. And the reason being is because this topic is one that's not discussed a whole lot. I feel like people are afraid of this topic because it is so sensitive and because there are so many layers to it. However, we as a community must understand that we can't just shy away from topics that are layered, that have a lot of backlash potentially. We have to attack these issues where they are. Because at the end of the day, this topic we're going to be talking about tonight is one that's near and dear to my heart. But let me shout out my brother Dre Rose, who's letting me know that we are on live. The sound is great. Let your friends and your family know that we're live on the Anaya A Show presently on Facebook, and then we're going to upload to YouTube because there seems to be like a glitch that occurs when we try to upload directly to YouTube. So we've been playing around with this, but of course, all of these things cost money when it comes to production, especially since I'm no longer with a multi-billion dollar, company doing this type of work, right? So I have to do it on my own. That's okay because God is honoring me and I'm going to continue to do this work until we get it right. So bear with me as we continue to interview our guests, as we continue to try to get the lighting right, the equipment right. You guys don't know. Matter of fact, just in case something happens tonight, listen, your girl Anaya A went out and bought a whole new computer this week. Your girl Anaya A bought out a whole new computer. And I'm pretty proud of myself because I was needing a new laptop anyway to do this work. However, I love the laptop that I'm on due to the fact that it's very not just feasible, right? Feasible is one thing, but it's lightweight and I can carry it everywhere I go. However, we're going to have a standard computer, standard laptop for in-house, right? Because the work that we're doing requires for us to sometimes travel. But when we're in-house with the backdrop, as you can see, the Anaya A Show backdrop is back. We're going to do what we can right indoors. Now, moving forward, right, let me share something with you all. Again, tonight we've had a couple of technical issues, but you know what? We're pressing forward. And the reason being is because when I give people my word that I'm going to do something, you better believe your girl Anaya A is going to do it come hell or high water, right? This particular laptop that I'm on, it's not the best quality. However, like I said, we have a new laptop that I personally got with my money so that I can see if we can utilize this one, if it will be better when it comes to sound, when it comes to the screen, when it comes to visual effects and things of that nature. So I'm constantly working. And the reason being is because not only am I somebody that's always in your face, but I'm somebody who also has a ton of contacts and people are constantly trying to be interviewed on the platform. So why not try to get the best equipment out there? Why not try to make sure that we have adequate equipment so that we can interview our guests? With that being said, this week also has been a whole lot when it comes to media news. And I say that to say, let me tell you guys something. This past week, when it comes to the drama that's going on with the sisters, Tasha and Tamika from that SWV Escape Group or what have you, that new TV show that's on and popping. Listen, I was tied up a little bit. I'm not going to lie, because there's some new developments on that show, which once we're done with this interview, I'm going to go back and watch due to the fact that I grew up watching Escape. I grew up listening to these beautiful sisters with Tiny and Candy, right? I grew up listening to them and now they're all fighting and it's just a whole lot. So as you all know, I try to give you some late breaking news. So that's some late breaking news. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is another one, guys. Let me tell you guys something. Donald Trump is another one who literally has been in the news lately trying to attack different members of society, different politicians. And I'm going to tell you guys something. I've been really afraid for our local politicians, especially for my good friend, the district attorney, DA Alvin Bragg. Now, the reason being for that is, let me tell you something. Alvin Bragg is a very nice guy. He's just trying to do his job. However, you have people like Donald Trump who wants him out of there because he doesn't want to be prosecuted. He does not want to go to jail. So he's going to try every trick when it comes to the news media and trying to rally up his troops. We'll talk about that on next week's segment. We're going to check out what's going on lately with Donald Trump and him rallying up his, cronies and those Jan Sixers. I know a lot of people are like, Anaya, don't say these types of things, but it's the truth. Donald Trump rallied up the troops last year for Jan 6 and really wrecked our government, really wrecked the United States of America. And I feel like that's what's happening now. So we're going to definitely keep an eye on that because, as you know, not only is Alvin Bragg a part of the people, a part of the politicians that Donald Trump is attacking. He's also attacking Attorney General Letitia James and those that are in the South, like Fani Willis, I believe is her name, whom I had never heard of before, but she's in Georgia. And so is Jack Smith, if I'm not mistaken. So those four names, keep an eye out for them because they're the people that are presently being attacked by Donald Trump. Now, with that being said, there's so much more news that I can cover for you all, but I want to share these last tidbits. Number one, we want to thank Brother Hanif Salam. I hope he's watching tonight. You all send in your comments, send in your concerns tonight. Let me know where you're watching from, right? Last night, real quick, we had a major platform that really wrecked the community in a good way. Because of this foster care task force initiative that is spearheaded by myself, Anaya A of the Anaya A Show and of, Neighborhood Violence Survivors Alliance, I've been calling in the troops. When I say I've been calling in the troops, I've been calling my friends who are all over the United States. So we're starting on the East Coast because we have a lot of comrades on the East Coast. And yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we had Brother Hanif Salam from the ACLU who came out to speak. We had Sister Beautiful Dr. Gloria Bent who joined us, who brought in some of her friends in the community to join us. We had Miss Carmita from yours organization who joined us just yesterday. And of course, we had our three beautiful panelists that were on with us last night. And then we also had Ms. Tanika Velez, my new partner in regards to working with the children. We have up and coming events. We have something happening on April 7th. Check out the website, check out the page for some of that information so you could see the work that we're doing. I spoke at her school, her after school program, Social Butterflies after school program through the Democracy Prep School. And that was such a huge blessing. And now we're putting our heads together so that we can have a pen pal situation throughout the US so that our children in the foster care system can have other young people writing to them and keeping them encouraged. Now, I see a number of people waiting in the chat to be put on to the Zoom conference line tonight. However, if you are invited tonight, I want you to know that this particular Zoom is for the three panelists. So if you are on tonight and thinking that this is an open forum, it's actually for the three panelists, but you all can surely watch and comment directly on the Anaya A page, which is Anaya A period on Facebook. You will also be able to see us afterwards on YouTube, where we will publish this live taping on YouTube. We're also on Instagram now. I see my sister, Vaughn the One. So Vaughn the One is already on Instagram. But for those that are waiting in the waiting room on Zoom right now, please know that you will be a part of the segment later. So basically you can watch like the rest of the viewers on Facebook, actually, where you can have direct interaction with your girl Anaya A. And then afterwards, you'll be able to watch us on YouTube. But for now, please, please, please send in your comments. Let us know where you're watching from and your affiliation with the Anaya A Show, because we want to know, how did you find out about us tonight? And how are you going to help the three panelists? With that being said, and with 9 minutes to go, because we are going to open up the Zoom for our three panelists in just a moment. If you've seen the flyer, you will know that we have three beautiful sisters that are joining us tonight. We have Miss Lolita Allen. We have Miss Stacy. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I can't pronounce her name, so I'm gonna let her do it. Stacy Sonalitter. I feel like I said that correctly, but she can definitely let me know whether or not that's correct. And then we have Miss Vaughn the One. So these three sisters are coming on, and I want to shout out my sister, Lisa Davis. Lisa Davis found out about this task force and the work that we're doing. And as a fellow activist and as my sister, she was able to connect me with Miss Lolita Allen. And Miss Lolita Allen's story is so, it's so deep. And she already started the work by gathering up her troops throughout the community. And tonight we will have three of these women who are mothers and grandmothers who are fighting for their children. So let's read the first bio of Miss Lolita Allen. It says, hi. Lolita Allen is an RN, BSN, CCMR. Although I know what these acronyms stand for, I'm going to let you all know what it means. She has worked for over 30 years in nursing with 15 years plus in the healthcare insurance industry. Miss Allen adopted her medically challenged, fragile granddaughter, Jayla. Miss Allen has dedicated her life to providing a safe and loving home where Jayla was thriving. After numerous painful years of battling with CPS, over 2 hours of private duty nursing services in the home for Jayla, CPS prevailed and medically kidnapped. I want you all to pay attention. They medically kidnapped Jayla on January 20th, 2020. Jayla was sadly placed in a pediatric nursing home for life. Ms. Allen will be speaking about and bringing awareness to how a school district can abuse their power to keep children from getting medically necessary services, and how they will work with CPS and other healthcare agencies to kidnap our children. This is truth, guys. I have a personal story of my own. I know I have several stories, and that's why this new foster care task force is in place. Now, she wants you to understand Miss Allen is on a mission to educate parents with the goal of empowering parents to protect their children and considering lobbying for for change against this abuse of power by the CPS that has such devastating negative effects on innocent, defenseless children and their families. Miss Allen's goal is to raise money for legal representation of Jayla and other families that have had their parental rights terminated. Ultimately, her goal is to bring Jayla back home and other children. So there you have it. That's Miss Lolita Allen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read all three of the bios of these beautiful women. Now, again, you may not be able to watch me if you are behind stage or in the waiting room. So please, for those that invited your friends tonight to be a part, let them know to go right to my Facebook page, guys, because that's where they will be able to view us live now. And for all of you who are watching, I already saw the numbers going up. Please let us know where you're watching from again. Please let us know how you can be of assistance, because we need all of the support that we're going to get. Like, we need all of the support possible to help these women to get their children and grandchildren back. Now, let's read about Miss Yvonne Von the One. Miss Yvonne Pollard is a licensed practical nurse who has been working in the healthcare field for over 25 years. She is a devoted, loving mother and grandmother who has dedicated her life to caring for her only daughter and 3 grandchildren. Mrs. Pollard and her family have been victimized by Child Protective Services, aka CPS, which you'll hear a lot about tonight, when her granddaughter, Tyava, was snatched from her arm at just 3 months old. Mrs. Pollard believes this has happened because of CPS's ability to abuse their position of power by targeting what they believe to be vulnerable parents and trafficking infants for profit. Ms. Pollard is hoping that by telling her story, it will empower other parents. I want you to catch this. She hopes that this will empower other parents, right, to overcome their fear, not suffer in silence, and tell their story. She is also hoping that their parents and families will join her in her fight to advocate and activate changes in the laws that will help protect children and their families. Ultimately, she is seeking legal representation to get justice for Tyava and bring Tyava home. Notice that we have a trend tonight. And right before we bring in the beautiful sisters, we have one more bio, which is incredibly lengthy. So we're not going to read the entire thing, okay? We're gonna read a portion of it, and we're gonna let our beautiful sister, Stacy, fill in the blanks. The new millennium was an exciting transition from the 1990s for pretty much everyone, as we looked with hope into the 2000s will bring, what the 2000s will bring. It was during this year that I met my husband while out with a group of mutual friends on a snowy day in Buffalo, New York. He was in his early career as an attorney. Listen very carefully, fam. It's not just vulnerable families, it's those people that are in power and position that are also utilizing that power and position to hurt our community. So he was young, doing his thing as a young attorney. And I was just entering my career as a physician assistant. Our dating was enjoyable. His family seemed well liked in the community. And I had a good childhood with my family. We were married by the year 2002 and internationally adopted our first child by 2006, shortly after we had 4 children, total ages of 3 and under. I was relatively naive, having been raised by a nice family. We also had a summer home that we retreated to for vacation, and perhaps I had less exposure to the other people growing up than most of my peers. I am not so sure the issue was my naivety or was it his deception or both. During our marriage, I discovered my then husband had problems with pornography and went to counseling. Now this is a movie. It's a whole movie. He had issues with pornography and went to counseling because he admitted it in court. It was a problem. I later found he actually journaled pornography, made other sins cloud my thinking. He says that pornography made him do other sins that clouded his thinking. By the year 2013, when our oldest had just turned 7, my older 2 children disclosed sexual abuse by their father. While it would seem this was the worst part of my story, it was beginning of at least 10 years of complete horror. I filed for divorce to protect my children from abuse by their father, and in the year 2013, and still today, he has custody of all 4 children. And a lot of people may wonder, how is it possible? There's a lot more to her story that she's going to share tonight, right? I'm just giving you the short piece of her story. Some people may wonder, just by that quick snippet, how is it possible that this man who is a known sex abuser, how can he possibly still have all of these children in his care? Well, tonight, you're going to hear 3 different stories on the Anaya A Show. And I want you to tell a friend that we're live. And as we welcome these beautiful sisters, I want you to embrace each and every one of them with love, with support, and also know that we will need your help after tonight's show. Once we have them on, they will tell you what they need from all of you. And then, my people, we will tell you next steps as to what you can do for them. We will tell you next steps as to what. Welcome, 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 beautiful ladies. As to what. Welcome, 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 beautiful ladies. 1 second. 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 I don't know why there's a feedback. Am I on multiple devices, ladies? Feedback?
Yeah, it was repeated.
Am I on multiple devices, ladies?
Yeah, it was repeated.
Am I on multiple devices, ladies?
I think so.
Am I on multiple devices, ladies?
I think so. I think so. I think so.
Okay, I can hear you all okay on my end. So it might be an issue on your end. Okay, on my end. So it might be an issue on your end. Okay, on my end. So it might be somebody has multiple devices on my end. So it might be somebody has multiple devices on my end. So it might be somebody has multiple devices on my end. So it might be somebody has multiple devices on my end. So it might be somebody has multiple devices on my end.
Second.
Somebody has multiple devices on. Never happened before. Okay. Somebody has multiple devices on. Never happened before. Okay, how was that?
Great for me all of a sudden.
Okay,
Great for me.
perfect. So that's 2. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you for my team who is responding and who is sending me updates. Now I'm hearing that the volume is low. Can you ladies hear me?
I can hear you much better.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for the team. Wow, we have people watching on Instagram, sending me messages via Facebook. Listen, oh my God, you can't hear very good. There's an echo. The echo seems to be gone now. So this is exciting. Thank you, Annabelle 932148. I love it. Thank you for those that are inboxing me. I can't see your face. That looks like Mr. Newhan, who's sharing from the inbox on Facebook. But so far, we are in the clear and I hear myself very well. Hi, Miss Vaughn. All right, ladies, the time has come. Before we get started, there's 3 people waiting in the inbox that wants to join us. And we can't let them on because this is a closed circuited interview with you 3 on the panel. I'm not sure if they were invited by you all, but before we go forward, let's take a second to let them know to watch us on Facebook Live right now, Anaya A. Period. Anaya A. Period on Facebook. That's where you can go on to interact with us. By the way, I haven't had a chance to even check my messages on Facebook yet, but you all keep them coming. We are here with these beautiful women, and they are here to share their concerns, their needs, to go into a deeper profile of what they have been experiencing. And as you all know, I've even sent this information out to producers, as well as media personalities, as well as the news teams that I'm affiliated with. And one of the best people that I could have sent this out tonight was our council member, Kevin C. Riley, who will try to tune in tonight with his busy schedule. I will definitely let you all know he's a man of his word. So if he can't tune in this evening, he will definitely know exactly what's going on, because as you all know, he stands with us on the task force. So now that we've gotten here, ladies, you look beautiful. I'm so appreciative of your strength and of your courage. I'm going to try my hardest not to get emotional, but as you all know, since meeting all of you, it has been an emotional journey. But we're going to make it together. We are going to make it together. And that's right. Fist up. My sister's ready. Vonda Dawn said, Vonda One said, fist up, because we're going to make it together. With that being said, again, Lisa Davis, who's a strong, beautiful activist and my sister, introduced me to Miss Lolita Allen just about a month or so ago. And upon doing so, we communicated, and to hear her story, I was so triggered, because this is not the way anybody should be treated. But we know CPS, we know the government, we know when it comes to powerful entities that we are sometimes on the bottom of the totem pole and that our cries are not heard. But tonight you have a platform for your cries, and you will have many shoulders to lean on, because we are a village. So welcome, Miss Lolita, as the person who brought these 2 beautiful ladies on. I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome, Miss Stacy Sonalitter. Sonalitter, correct?
That's
You
the
said it
voice.
perfect.
She did. Hold
Thank-
on.
Okay. And welcome, Miss Vonda One. Now, out of the 3, I feel like Miss Vaughn is the more quiet one, but that's okay. We're going to get her to talk tonight, because her story and how we know about Taieva, everybody needs to know about Taieva, and everybody needs to help bring Taieva home. So with that being said, Miss Lolita, we're here.
Yeah.
I read your bio, sister, but I already knew a little bit about your background as an educated woman, somebody with their RN, BSN, CCMR. You know, people know what RN means, registered nurse, but tell them what BSN means and CCMR, so that we can all be on the same page.
Okay, thank you. BSN is I have a bachelor's degree in nursing. That's, you go to school for the 4 years.
Yes.
My CCMR, I'm a certified case manager, and the R stands for I put it in retirement. And I put it in retirement because of everything that I was going through. So I was unable to complete my continuing education credits in the appropriate time, and I didn't want to have to take the exam over again. So I put it in retirement. So it's a good thing, because I still have time to renew it.
Right. So as an educated woman who knows the system, give us a quick rundown. We read your bio. We know what the bio says, but tell us a little bit more about Jayla's medical issues and how did you get to this place today?
Okay, thank you. Jayla she's my biological granddaughter from my daughter. My daughter was a rebellious teenager and she got pregnant in high school and she left home, and Jayla was only like maybe 3 months old. And I get a call that says Jayla's in the hospital and she needs to have brain surgery. So I'm like frantic, going crazy. What is going on here? So I run to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and I see my poor little baby in the hospital with tubes all over her in her nose, out of mouth, prepping her for brain surgery. And they're saying she might not even survive. So me being the nurse that I am, I'm like, my daughter's fighting with me because she's rebellious. And I'm like trying to figure out what's going on, why this baby is here. So I grabbed the chart and I look right for the face sheet. And first thing I look for is her diagnosis. And it says shaken baby syndrome. So now it's like, what is going on? So fast forward, you got Child Protective Services involved with my daughter. She got the district attorney on her case. And I began, it was like a whirlwind. Your whole life is turned upside down. Your daughter is being held for criminal charges. Your grandbaby is in the hospital. And it was just a mess. So my first thing was, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to try to take this baby and put this baby in a nursing home.
Mm,
So she was only 3 months and they did everything to make, well, my daughter's fighting against me. So that's their ticket so that I can't get the child, because I didn't know at the time, they get money for the children. I didn't know at the time that they would lie about their diagnosis and all the criminal things that they do. So I started fighting for this child to get this, because they were very clear that they were going to take this kid from these two teenage parents. So I started fighting for my granddaughter, and it took me 2 years, a little over 2 years, not knowing at that time that that's the time frame for New Jersey before they had the legal right to adopt a child out. So
wow.
I started fighting for her, and I fought hard. They had put her in the nursing home that she's in right now. And they put her in the same exact bedroom, in the same room, in the same bed, and they smiled and smirked to let me know that this is the kind of power that we have. So I got her out the nursing home at 3.5 years old. I was told she could never walk, talk, do anything. First she said that she was just going to be a vegetable, but she beat all odds and got her home. Worked with her. She had visual difficulties. She couldn't eat. She couldn't walk. She didn't even know how to respond to people, because the first 3 months of her life, she was just thrown in a hospital and rehabs, and she was just another number. Whenever you get to her, somebody would have some interaction with her. So I got her home. I worked with her diligently, got her walking with a walker, speaking with the communication device. She enjoyed her environment, had to take her out and explore to different special things that she could do for kids with disabilities. And as a case manager, that was my job, to process private duty nursing claims. At my job, I was kind of deemed the queen of private duty nursing because I was the best at it. So I knew how to fight to get the services that she needed.
So let's put a pause real quick in case people are wondering. So not only were you a nurse, you also had the advantage of knowing how to get resources for other people in the community, but also for your own grandchild.
Exactly. That's what my certification is. And a certified case manager, my job is to provide support and provide resources. But I also worked for the insurance company. So my job was to process the authorizations for the medical director to review, either to approve or deny services. So I knew what it took to get the approval for private duty nursing. And I fought for my child to get those services. But what I didn't know, because my company, I shout out to Independence Blue Cross because they are pretty much ethical. They do their best to provide services for their members. I've never had, we have a few cases where some people complain, but it wasn't like this. So I never knew that insurance company would, do the things that they do to make sure that people don't get the services that they need. And I was told it's better to have a sick child at home than no child at all. What else did they say? It's better to have a sick child at home or no child. Oh, a school district has more power than a single parent. And if you don't stop fighting them, they're going to take your child. Can you imagine?
I can imagine. And we have, Annabelle loves you so much. She is the strongest, most courageous person I know. May God bless her and protect her. Thank you. I'm not able to read the Facebook comments real quick because I am watching the Instagram screen right now, and I'm watching these beautiful four ladies, but keep sending in your comments and your questions, your concerns, and also share where you're writing from. Now, Miss Lolita, as we're about to go to Miss Stacy next, I just want you to hold that thought, because here's the thing that baffles me. It behooves me to listen to people's stories and listen to what people are saying to the victim. You already had all these issues that you're fighting against. Then you have a grandchild who needs medical attention, which you can also provide because you are in the medical field. Now they're almost playing games with you mentally, emotionally, as well as physically, because if you think about it, right, you could become sick yourself. Going through all of the stress, right, guys? All of the pain, all of the trauma, because this is trauma on top of trauma. And yet you have a background in this field. Hold that thought. We're going to come back to you, Miss Lolita, because we have to get you the help you need. For everybody watching tonight, listen to these stories and let's advocate on behalf of Miss Lolita, Miss Stacy, and Miss Vaughn. That's what we're here for tonight. Reach out to all of your legislators out there. Reach out to community leaders that our children should not be snatched away. Miss Stacy, coming to you with a story that's so mind-boggling. You would think you're watching a Lifetime movie, sitcom, or like just a movie itself, not even a sitcom, because this is so stressful. Like Miss Lolita's story is like a Tyler Perry movie. Yours is like a Lifetime movie. Right. And Ms. Vaughn, I don't even know which category to put you in, but she's in the middle somewhere. We're going to get to Ms. Vaughn. Miss Stacy, I read a little bit of your story and left off on how your husband, then husband, because you're divorced now, still has all 4 children, yet he's a known basic like pornography head sex offender. Everything is written. And I want you to catch us up to how this is possible in 2023, that this man can be doing all of this and still have access to not only his children, I'm pretty sure to other children too, because children play in plays, and they have roles, in karate. They're going to dance schools. They have to go to school every day. He has access to other children. Tell us, how can this be possible, Stacy, and continue us where we left off?
Well, thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for your caring and putting your heart out there for everybody and giving everyone this opportunity. Hi, Archie wants to say hello too.
Hi, Archie. Welcome.
So first, too, I want to speak to Lolita. It breaks my heart what's happening to her. I hear stories like this all the time. I've been dealing with this for so many years. And there's something just magical about Lolita. Every time I talk to her, it's just 2 seconds talking to her. Her voice has healing just in her voice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So comforting.
I know. And if I was ever sick, her voice walking in the room would already make me feel better
Oh.
and confident in her care. This is horrible, horrible what's happening, and just a disgrace, because she's a wonderful, caring woman. And Vaughn, I'm sure you are too, because you're friends with Lolita. I haven't really super met you yet, but you know, it's just this terrible what they're doing to families. So that is my experience in my own personal realm as well. I don't refer to my ex as a sex offender. You know, everyone can come to their own conclusions with the facts and the evidence that's out there.
So we're gonna say
Um,
allegedly, and because I can't, by law, it's just the graphicness, or if that's even a word. I mean, that's such. So
yeah.
we're not gonna call him a sex offender. I don't want to get sued, but he's definitely in a category somewhere that we.
I mean, it can be your impression that someone who does pornography and admits it's a problem goes to counseling. That's some sort of a sexual issue there too. And some people would consider that, you know, violence or cheating or whatever. You know, everyone has their own belief system. But my kids did disclose sexual abuse by their father. The two older children did. And my older daughter also disclosed repeated strangulation by her father. Um, uh, that started once he moved into his own residence upon the filing of divorce. And initially he was putting her into chokeholds. And then her first time she disclosed it to me was that she was having temper tantrums at his house, and that he would stand behind her and put his arm around her, but then sometimes it would go up around her neck. And what she said to me was, Mom, the problem is when I'm screaming and he puts his hand over my mouth, I can't tell him he's actually choking me.
And real quick, not to stop you, because I want this to be real for the viewers tonight and our listening audience. When he does these actions, is there something that provokes him? We know the sexual abuse part, probably nothing, provokes that. But why would a father act out like this to his own children, especially a little girl?
So she, every, you know, what every child does not respond to abuse in the same way. You have to remember, children have immature coping skills. So what one child does doesn't mean another child's going to do the same thing.
Mm.
And because I have 4 children, they each responded to their environment in different ways. My oldest daughter, she was the more vocal one. She's the one that disclosed. She's the one that would repeatedly run away.
Mm.
And I think this was very upsetting for him. And this was his way of gaining control over her.
Wow. And
So
you may continue.
she would have temper tantrums pretty exclusive to him. And he would go into these chokeholds when she was having temper tantrums, apparently. They were happening repeatedly. One time she said it's because she ate too many cookies. Another time because she went up on the back porch because he has a 2nd-story back patio. One time it was when she was doing her homework. The kids both disclosed to CPS that it was one time when she crumbled her homework and one time when she lied. So it was repeated. And then the counselor spoke to him, you need to stop doing that. Apparently, I never saw the record, but apparently the counselor said he admitted that it happened just once. Then I brought my daughter back again and she said it was still happening. So the counselor called CPS, but CPS did nothing. I got the records from CPS, in fact, and after he was putting her like in the chokehold, then he started restraining her on the ground in a prone position, either lying on her stomach or her back. And she called that he was squishing her. And Niagara County CPS in New York called that appropriate caregiver, no safety concerns.
Wow. Now let's talk to the audience about this, because I recall saying something the first time we met and I heard your story, how I had never really met, white people, Caucasians going through what I'm seeing happening, right? Because I mean, let's face it, I'm a Black woman, Haitian American, to be honest. So I didn't have this type of understanding that it's universal, basically, right? Um, you mentioned that it's not just racial when it comes to these activities and this behavior that the CPS invokes upon us. There's different terminologies because you, as I think a physician's assistant at the time, you were actually making more than an attorney, yet he still has all this power over you and still has custody of your children, and utilize the terms so well that I would love for you to repeat it. It's misogynistic. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So apparently this was the Bob Marley song, right? The ism and schisms, right?
Listen,
And
it's a lot.
yeah, so racism isn't the only evil ism in that we're dealing with, right?
Right.
There's sexism, there's sexism, there's cronyism, there's nepotism, there's favoritism, there's a lot of evil isms. So, it's not just racism that's a problem. So I guess I get to represent the isms and other schisms.
Isms and other schisms. And how are you coping? Because you're smiling tonight, just like Miss Lolita and just like Miss Vaughn is trying to smile and hold on, but I know she misses Miss Taeva so much. Tell us, how is it that you cope without your 4 children? And do you in fact share custody because you obviously have some kind of way of seeing them?
Right. So I do. I have access, but I don't have custody. And the way I smile, you have to remember, these people, what they want to do, it's eviscerating what they want to, what they want to accomplish. They want to take everything from you. And while they try and take your children, while they take your home, while they take your money, all these things, you have to remember you're not going to throw in the towel and give them everything, including your happiness.
Amen. Amen. And you're standing 10 toes down. You are so strong. And we appreciate you so much for that. And when we come back to you, we want to share those different names and the different people that are helping basically keep your children where they are. And it's not fair. So we're going to come right back to Miss Lolita. Hold that question. Let's take Miss Vaughn, the one. Miss Vaughn, the one. If you want to unmute yourself now and just give us a deeper analysis of what's been happening in your world. And I know this subject is so hard for you because Taeva is still in the system as well.
Yes, she is. I just want to thank you. Complete awesome inspiration to motivate people, victims like myself and others who have suffered at the hands of these agents, to unite and mobilize and to seek assistance, because I've been she was barely 3 months old.
Miss
They
Vaughn,
took her right out of arms, and
you're freezing up. You're freezing up. Okay, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
it says my internet, yeah.
Yes.
She was snatched right out of my arms at the daycare. And she was barely 3 months old. So I left with more questions than I got answers. There was never an indication that there was a problem. I never received a report from social services, completely caught off guard. And I still don't have any answers. They haven't given me any answers. In fact, they tried to remove me as a party from the case, even though I've been there from the very beginning. I even asked them about the Family First Act. They told me they didn't have to follow that. And this is in Wilmington, North Carolina, Department of Social Services, Child Protective Services, and we're still looking for answers. I'm a nurse and I began in pediatric nursing. I kind of knew what I wanted to do. At about 10 years old, my first nephew was born and I was the babysitter. So I kind of knew that that would be what I would be doing. I love children and I love my family. I have just one daughter who was blessed me with the three, two princesses and one prince. And we are questioning how is it possible for the siblings to be safe with us, because my son is one and he's with his mom, and I have the older sibling who's 11 now and she's with me, but Ava yet is unsafe somehow. They did their investigation. There was no abuse. There was no neglect. There was no imminent danger for an immediate removal. And to my understanding, that was supposed to be the only way that immediate removal could possibly happen. But it happened and we're still looking for answers because it's just traumatizing. It's not making any sense. And I've been, like I said, seeking assistance for nearly 4 years. She's going to be 4 years old next month. And yeah, it's just hard. It's just hard. Her sister misses her. We've all been in therapy trying to deal and cope with this, but there's not going to be anything like when she comes home, because we do believe. Yes.
So, and I just wanted to ask you, do you have contact with Taeva? Are you able to see her at all? And how is that, how are those interactions?
Initially, we were having visitations. It would be in their small jail cell type of visitation room. And even all through COVID, when even the social workers were not going in that building, even the judge was not going into the courtrooms, we were forced to go in, repeated requests to have it at, an outside area, somewhere that we could meet, even in-home visits, all denied. And up until the last year, it's been about 9 months since they blocked me, because they knew that was key, that she knew who I was. And when they seen her give me hugs and kisses, or she'd come to me running and kick her shoes off in order to just sit on my lap and read to her and just love on her, they figured they had to get rid of me, because I'm definitely a factor. She's not going to forget.
That is insanity. I hope you all that are listening tonight, matter of fact, let me do this and then I'm going to take Miss Lolita's question. We have so many beautiful people watching tonight. I have from Judith Narain. My God. Yes, Judith. Judith Narain happens to be a chaplain in New York City. That's right. I'm calling out the chaplains tonight as your neighborhood activist and leader. I know who the leaders are, so we're going to call for Holy Ghost prayer, hallelujah, but we're also going to call for some kind of reinforcement in Jesus' name. And I am going to say that, Judith, I want you to join the foster care task force so that you can take part in reunifying these families with their beautiful children and grandchildren. This is the decree tonight. We have Lisa Davis, who says, we support Lolita Allen, demand Jayla Allen be returned to her mother, Lolita Allen, in Jesus' name. We have Denise Jones, who says, and she, Miss Lolita, still smiles a beautiful smile. We have Lisa Davis, the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations stands behind Lolita Allen. But it happens to be Black families at a higher rate. This is happening to everyone, but it happens to Black families at a higher rate. Absolutely. And we can concur with that statement because we know that this is true. That's why I'm thankful for Stacey's participation tonight, because as I've mentioned, and I'm not afraid to say it, I did not know white people were going through this as well. Now, here's the caveat. I'm a former foster care sister, and I recall a little baby named Haley, who was a white baby that we had custody of. But let me tell you guys something, because I kid you not. So, and I have to share the story because I just remembered it as I'm remembering like my issues and what we've been through and things of that nature. Ellie's mother was on crack cocaine or whatever, right? Like heroin and all of that stuff. So she had drugs in her system. And here's why I'm pushing so hard about this initiative. I recall now, Haley was only in foster care for just a couple of months. Her grandmother, who lived way away from her daughter, who was Haley's mother, was able to come and get Haley from foster care within several months. Now, this was back in 2007, if my memory serves me correctly. So Haley should be a grown woman at this point. But as I'm looking at Miss Lolita and I'm looking at Miss Bond, right? They are grandmothers who have had their grandbabies in foster care in CPS controlled environments for over 3 years. And enough is enough. So that's why I'm also thankful for our comrades like Stacy to share what she knows and also stand with us during these fights, because she's facing abuse herself. So right now, as you all are commenting in, please join the foster care task force. I put out information for you all to join us, and they have information as well, because as you know, these 3 beautiful women have been doing the work already. Lolita, you have a comment.
Yes, thank you.
You're
I was
welcome.
commenting when you asked Stacy the question, how do you cope?
Yes, ma'am.
And I wanted to say how I cope. I literally had a family member scream and yell at me like on 100. And my daughter was in the nursing home and she went to see my daughter on her birthday, which I have a problem. She needs more than someone to just go visit her on her birthday, say hi, give her a little stuffed animal, something that's going to flare up her allergies and she can't develop from playing with a stuffed animal. And she called me and I answered the phone, and I didn't know she was at my granddaughter's at the facility with her. And she was like, Jayla wants to talk to you. So I said, I don't want to speak. I don't want to talk to her. So that's how I cope. And I wanted to say before I say more about why I chose to do that is because I want people to not judge our pain. Because you don't know what it's like to have your flesh and blood illegally snatched away from you, and they're defenseless and can't defend themselves.
My God.
So my reason, most people, well, the person yelled at me and said, she needs you, she needs you. I don't care. I would still go visit my kids if they were taken from me because they still need me. What you need to look at the flip side of that, the repeated trauma that you're inflicting upon this child who's been with you their whole entire life, and to have them stripped away from you, placed in a strange environment, and then you go see them and then you leave again and you talk to them on the phone and then you hang up. And my daughter, she knew home. She knew she had her routine. So they're not thinking that, she's wondering, where is my Nana? Why am I not in my bed? Why can I see my best friend? So I had to literally keep myself from crying every single night and being angry about it. I had to pray to God for the Lord to help me to not think about my child so that I can move every day with this pain while I'm focusing on fighting to get her back. So I literally had to not think about her.
My God.
And it's a sad thing to say, and people will judge that, but they don't know what it's like to be in our shoes.
Ladies, do you have anything that you want to follow up and say? That just brings tears to my eyes. You know, I recently was dealing with so much with my newborn baby. Well, he's 9 months now, and he's such a handful because he's just so active. And I was like, literally like, oh my God, I need a break because he's just so much. And I was like thinking about sending him home to Nana's, my mom and dad. And then I looked at him and his big brown eyes, I realized I can't live a day without this kid. Like, am I kidding myself? He's a lot to deal with. The poop smears are crazy, like the throw ups and all of that. And then I'm reminded by you beautiful ladies that this pain that you're feeling is on 100. It's beyond explainable. And I'm so thankful that you all are still fighting, because I told you I'm a crybaby, right? I'm always crying. That's why sometimes I don't do these calls and stuff with the camera on, because I'm secretly crying, right? Because I feel that pain, and I see what it's doing to our society. And that's where it hurts the most. Because when children, and I want you all that are listening to share this message, but also take this into account, because some people are so clueless as to why I cry and as to why I fight. But I look at the grand scheme of things and I see, psychologically speaking, if children do not have nurture and nature and the basic necessities of life coming into this world, our children become desensitized, possibly violent, and many end up on substances because they're trying to cope with their pain. And we have to remember that our children that are in the system, they're not getting the same love and affection that they would at home. Are some situations to the extreme where they should not be with their families? Absolutely. But here you have educated women, strong women, courageous women, 3 different women who are saying, we have the adequate space, we have the education, we have the stability. Our children may have messed up in the sense of Lolita and Miss Vaughn, right? They messed up, but I'm their grandmother. Give me a chance. Help me get my babies back. And then you have Miss Stacy, who has an ex-husband that has literally taken it upon himself to abuse her children. Yet they're still in the care of this abuser. And I know we have resources tonight that we wanted to share publicly. I don't know if you still want to do that, ladies, because I could bring them up on the screen as I try to get myself together, because I'm tired of the abuse of the system. I'm tired of people getting taken advantage of. Like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. If you want, we can still share as I compose myself. I know I shouldn't be this emotional, but I am, because it hurts me. Because I see the people on the streets every day who are aging out of foster care with nowhere to go, with no family, have been separated from their siblings, their grandparents. They don't know who they are. They don't know where they belong. Ladies, go ahead.
Well, I think even though you're crying, you're still running a damn good show, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, you could go ahead and share that, Lolita, that message, and I'm gonna pull up. I think what you shared, Miss Stacy. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, this is my heart. This is my passion. This is why I do what I do, because it just makes no sense. And if I can help somebody today, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Taeva should be home. Jayla should be home. Stacy, your babies should be home. And that's just the bottom line. Go ahead and share, Lolita, if you want to, the message that you just posted as I pull up the emails presently.
Okay. Anaya was asking about resources, and I wanted to share, because we have a limited time here. If people really want to know about the corruption of the Child Protective Services and Family Court, one thing that they can do is to go to YouTube and pull up Senator Nancy Schaefer, the whistleblower. And this former senator, she's a senator in Georgia, she blew the whistle on all of the corruption with Child Protective Services. She went out of the country to another country to tell the story. It went viral here, and shortly after that, her and her husband were found dead.
Oh
So,
my God.
yes, they were found dead and they deemed it a murder-suicide, but people know that that's not really
And what
what
year did
happened.
this take place, Lolita, please?
She did this in like 2008. That
And
this
that's
occurred.
and it's interesting because I just shared around 2007 or so is when we had baby Haley in our custody. And you know, in 2007, I helped my parents start their foster care home because my parents are from Haiti and my mom wanted to have an orphanage. And I looked up orphanages in America and I was like, there's no such thing as an orphanage, mom, you know? And then I was like, there's this thing called foster care that we've heard of in the past. Maybe we could help children that way, you know, because I was taking care of an orphanage in Haiti at the time. So that's interesting that you share that about these beautiful people who were trying to make a difference and they ended up deceased.
She spelled out a very clear solution. And
Talk about it. Talk about it.
she petitioned to all the senators of each state. So that's 100 senators because there's 2 in every state. Not one senator supported her because it's it was $1 billion industry at that time. So
As it
they're not
still
going to
is.
support her not making $1 billion. So her clear solution to this was, one, we need to pull the curtains back. We need to expose them. And one way we do that is to have open court, because some states you can have open court. And in our state, New Jersey, where I'm at, it's completely closed. And that's the case for a lot of states throughout the 50 states that we have here. So they get away with all of their corruption. She also stated that they need to take away the financial incentive that the federal government provides to the state for taking our children. So they have literally a fiscal budget that they have to meet every year. And the only way that they can meet that is to take our kids at mass numbers.
And let's pause on that so that you could break that down for the people that are actually watching. When you say that, because we just got a message that foster care at CPS is privatized. So in essence, they literally are able to do this because not only are they a privatized entity, but they have to meet a certain quota.
Yes. When I first started researching on this, and I Senator Nancy Schaefer mentioned the Adoption and Safe Family Act. So I Googled Adoption and Safe Family Act and I start reading it. It was signed as a law in 1997 by President Bill Clinton. And it was supposed to be to protect those children who on extreme cases were really abused. And the federal government would give the state money to adopt these children out and put them in foster care. However, you know, the cruel world that we live in, people can take something that's supposed to be good and twist it around and make it bad. So our corrupt child protective systems in the family court said, oh, wow, we get money for putting kids in foster care. So they will funnel that's why children bounce from foster care to foster care, because every time they send them to a new foster care, that's more money that they get. They get more money for special needs children, like my granddaughter. And since I first stumbled over that law, you know, they revise it every year. So people started bringing more attention to it. So now they give you a formula. Before they used to spell out exactly how much money it was they would get per child. Now it's a complex formula that you have to figure out. Nevertheless, it still equates to they're getting a whole lot of money for your children. And if everybody I really suggest, if you really want to know why you should get involved, watch the movie Foster Boy. That movie came out in 2020 by Shaquille O'Neal. He was has something to do with producing it. And it's based on true events. And it shows you everything that they do. This one particular private adoption company called the Mentor Group, they were making so much money off of stealing our children that they were literally going to put their company on the stock exchange. And I said, well, what is your product on stock? Children. And somebody in that group had a conscience and knew they did not want to go to jail. So that person said, are you crazy? That's within their own group. Are you crazy? We cannot put this company on the US stock exchange. So they didn't, but nevertheless, it was a big story, and it's all in the news. You can Google that one too. And so they just
Repeat the name of that one. Repeat the name of that movie.
Foster Boy, and the company was the Mentor Group. So they kind of changed their name, changed what it is that they do, and they're still functioning. They're still active adoption agency, and they're all over the 50 states. And the surprising thing to me was, the brain is a miraculous thing. My brain said to me when I saw that movie, why do I know that name? The Mentor Group, the Mentor Group. And guess what? My brain took me back to every year our church has a business expo. And I had started my own business, and I was there as a vendor. And I remember seeing that name at our church. I could see the flyer in my head. I could see their
My
setup.
God.
And it was that in another adoption agency. So then I just knew the movie was true, and it was based on true events. And then I went and Googled that company, and it tells you the story about the boy that was victimized in that movie. And it was just horrible. He came after the lawyer and tried to steal the lawyer's special need child because he was fighting for the foster boy. It's crazy. They won't stop. They will come after you at no ends until they get your child.
And let me tell you something. I'm about to upload some, share a screen real quick. However, if you all recall, there's a new movie out with Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor, who is an actress, a model, a singer. She's married to a super famous, gorgeous Black man whom I love, Mr. Shumpert. I think that's his name. Anyway, I've met them both because they're Harlemites. They're always here in Harlem. And it's actually talking about them snatching Tiana Taylor's child right here in New York City, and all the issues that she has to go through to secretly take her child back. If somebody can Google the name of that movie, please do.
When did this occur? Because she just had a baby, right?
No. This is a movie. She's actually
right, but her baby, I know
her child is like 3 now.
Yeah, I know it wasn't that long. Yeah, I know it's still like
Juju is like 6. Juju is like 6. She's a big girl. I've met Juju. That's how I saw her husband actually through Juju, telling her daddy what she was gonna do with her ice pop, in Harlem, like off of 135th Street, if I'm not mistaken. Juju was the one walking around with her little pigtails, like telling her daddy. I was like, that little girl is so cute. Telling her daddy that she wants this ice pop. And then I would turn around and was like, oh my God. And her daddy was so tall. And I had no idea it was him, the famous basketball player. And my friend was like, Anaya, you don't even know that's Tiana Taylor's husband. Like, how do you not know these celebrities? Because I'm always with celebrities, but it doesn't ring a bell to me. But anyway, so she has 2 children, Tiana Taylor in real life. And the baby has to be at least like 3, maybe 4 now. I'm not 100% sure. However, Juju is the oldest one, and she's about 6. So she had those babies, dropped the weight, looks amazing, and now she's on a mission to fight for our children. So somebody in the notes, put that down, that we're gonna go and reach out to Miss Tiana Taylor about the Taskforce initiative. And in regards to anybody else that we can, you all write down in the message. And it looks like Judith Moraine, the chaplain, is on board. She just wrote us a message, and she's on board to fight with us to help get our children out of the CPS mess that they're in. So yes, big it up for my sister Judith. Anybody else that wants to join forces, email us now and stay in touch with your girl Anaya A, and I'll make sure that you will be in touch with these beautiful people. At this time, because we want to show that we're not lying and that there's a lot of information that we can provide, Miss Stacy wasn't afraid to share some documentation. Miss Stacy, can you see my screen now?
I can.
Miss Stacy, would you like to let the people know what this is, because it's highlighted and it's ready to go?
All right. Okay, first I'm going to actually give a little bit of history here. We were talking about my ex and that he's an attorney, but I don't know if we brought up yet that he was formerly an attorney for Niagara County Child Protective Services in the state of New York.
No, we did not.
Right. And he's a current Niagara County public defender. And so the concerning thing is he held such a sensitive position, and the same agency he worked for is who did these investigations and decided that this repeated strangulation was appropriate caregiving and no safety concerns. That was his former employer.
So let me ask you something, okay? Because this is how investigative reporters such as myself as a wannabe, I'm not going to hold you. I don't have a degree in this, but guess what? Y'all going to find out that I'm a secret investigative reporter tonight, because we're going to get to the bottom of this. Y'all don't even know tonight I'm putting on that hat. So Miss Stacy, were you able to reach out to the former employer and state these grievances and share what you had been going through? Because this is catastrophic that this man worked for CPS.
Oh, they're terrible. So
I hope y'all paying attention. Let me get my pillow so I could sit properly, because this go ahead, Stacy.
So not only did they determine that repeated strangulation was appropriate caregiving and no safety concerns, and my daughter was running away from him repeatedly because of this, in fact, involving police to find her and bring her back. The older two children disclosed sexual abuse, and Niagara County CPS refused to take them to the Child Advocacy Center for a multidisciplinary investigation. So they were never even investigated about this. My daughter made a handwritten testimony that her father, her words were, he pinches her privates. And Niagara County CPS did not refer that to the police. They refused to send my kids to the Child Advocacy Center. And in fact, they didn't even investigate it at all or add it to the list of investigation concerns. And in my daughter's handwritten testimony, where she was saying her father pinches her privates, they also said no safety concerns to that.
Let me just interject and ask this question. When we talked about racism earlier and all the other isms and schisms,
right,
this would go under nepotism, couldn't it be?
Correct. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I hope y'all are paying attention tonight. And this woman has proof. I asked if she was prepared to share this publicly, and she said yes. And she is sharing names and she's dropping receipts. This is literally a document from the state of New York Supreme Court.
Right. So when all this happened to me, one of the attorneys that came into court when I wanted to elicit testimony from the caseworker about the strangulation, about the sex abuse disclosures, the attorney that came to my case in court representing CPS, his name was Nicholas D'Angelo.
And right here, Nicholas D'Angelo,
yes.
The defendant.
So now we're going to talk about him. Yes. And that's what this document is about. So Nicholas D'Angelo was also an attorney for Niagara County CPS in New York. And what is special about Nicholas, and specialist is not in a good way, Niagara County CPS hired him with it being public knowledge he is a sex offender.
Niagara County, we coming for you. We are.
It was public knowledge. Anyone listening, watching the show right now can Google search judge to monitor Falls student Nicholas D'Angelo. And when he was about 16 or 17 years old, he sexually assaulted a child in a school hallway.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear that this person is now a part of the judicial system? This is why I hate to say this, and I hope I don't get banned because they listen to me. And this is not an attack, and this is not like something I'm trying to do, but I want you all to pay attention. This is like the good old boys club. This is what Donald Trump is about when he puts certain people in position. And you all could come for me in the chats if you want to, but I stand on my ground because we're watching a sister in the fight with us who's sharing her personal testimony, how an attorney is literally a well-known sex offender, and it is documented.
Right. So when you read the story from when he was 17 years old, he took a plea deal so he wouldn't have to literally register as a sex offender. So he was hired to work for Niagara County CPS as an attorney. And this is terrible, but what I say is, what would happen if you hired Pablo Escobar to drive a Brinks truck?
Hello, that money would be gone.
Would he stop at $1?
Right.
So what do you think is going to happen when you hire a sex offender to be an attorney for Child Protective Services?
I hope everybody is following this case. I hope everybody is sharing with their friends presently, so you can see firsthand that we're not joking about the foster care task force. Sorry, Stacey, I just had to make that public service announcement.
Keep going, it's all right. So, so the obvious happened. During his capacity as an official for Niagara County CPS, he was arrested on 12 felony charges of rape, including a child in the Department of Social Services custody. A 16-year-old child. Unfortunately, our courts and our media re-victimized this child victim and called her an underage prostitute. And anyone who uses that term is sick in the head, because if a 5-year-old can't be a prostitute, neither can a 16-year-old. This is child sex trafficking under color of law during his official capacity with Child Protective Services. And this is the document right here we're looking at of his arraignment, of his indictment. And what is highlighted there in yellow are all his charges.
All of his charges, and my girl was not playing. And remind us again, for those that are either just joining us or are so baffled they might have missed the part, how this man correlates to your story. How is there a connection again?
Right. So my ex-spouse is an attorney, formerly for Niagara County CPS, and this gentleman is an attorney, formerly for Niagara County CPS. And both of them have similar proclivities.
They are a part of the Good Old Boys Club, whom shake hands, do business together, walk through the halls of Congress or whatever Supreme Courts, and they share dirty secrets. And they have each other's backs. Now, this is a dangerous situation on every end. I'm a praying Christian woman, and my prayer is God is going to cover my Black soul tonight and every night, because this don't make a lick of sense that we have to see this type of information so blatantly in front of us. And you, Stacey, I commend you for being so transparent and sharing this information with us. And this document is literally from the clerks, like typing up everything that's being said. This is during a court session in Niagara Falls or Niagara, New York.
Niagara County. Yeah, so if you go to the top of the document, I'd like you to show the very, very first page. What I highlighted there in yellow is the date November 2020. That is the date of his indictment. He has not yet been to trial. and has still been practicing as an attorney these almost 3 years. And he doesn't work for Child Protective Services. However, he represents parents for custody proceedings. And very unfortunately, and nobody has investigated or looked into the disposition of these custody hearings, because I know many cases where kids are going to the alleged sex offender instead of the safe parent.
I had to put on some red lipstick because my mouth got dry and my heart is aching right now. I had to just touch up my lips because as I'm speaking out against this trauma, I'm baffled, and my mouth is getting dry. That's why I keep sipping. And that's why, because this is corruption right in our face. He has not been to trial yet. He has not faced the judge, if I'm not mistaken, or he has faced the judge at least once, but he hasn't been indicted. He hasn't gone to prison for his actions.
This is an appearance before the judge, and he let him out on his own recognizance.
Now, Stacey, what would you like seen done? How do you feel like justice will be served in regards to this situation and that of your ex-husband? Now that I got some more stuff on my lips, I feel better to speak out more. Tell us.
Well, I'll tell you right now, a great thing is literally this Friday, Mr. D'Angelo has to appear again in court because he got himself into some more trouble.
Can you tell us about that, please? What in the heck is going on in Niagara, New York?
Well, so when you're in trouble, they do these little squirrely things to get out of trouble, especially when they're not in jail and they're out and still practicing as an attorney and monetizing all this
Absolutely.
time. So he wanted to get the DA off of his case, apparently, and apparently made a campaign donation in his in this particular DA's name to another judge's campaign or something of this matter to make it look like she's conflict of interest to be involved in the case.
So he tried to bribe somebody, in essence.
I don't even know, but it's election fraud, it's stolen identity, and tampering with a witness or evidence or something along those lines. So he got himself arrested again for more felonies.
So we're going to do a call to action. Stacey, are you going to the courthouse on that day?
I'm planning to, yes.
Excellent. Unfortunately, Anaya A would have needed a lot more notice to go to Buffalo, New York, but we have friends who are watching now in Buffalo, in Cheektowaga, Buffalo, New York. So we're going to go ahead and put a call to action and see how we can mobilize, because we're not playing. I got goosebumps all over my body right now. Pamela Clark, we're calling you, sister. Pamela Clark, we're calling you in Buffalo, New York, in Cheektowaga, Buffalo. She is a sister and she is a friend, and I'm going to text her right now for her to join you, Stacey. I'm going to tell her to call in to see if she can actually join forces with you. I told you I have friends in Buffalo and higher places. Call in now, and hopefully she can call in now and we can mobilize. So that's step one of our action and our activities to help stand with Miss Stacey. If there's a way, because we're on Wednesday, this is happening Friday, Stacey. Give
at
the
2
people,
o'clock.
What time?
Friday at 2 o'clock.
That's great timing because that's not like 9 a.m. Okay, so give the people that information that are watching who can either mobilize and head to Buffalo to make sure that there is action behind D'Angelo going down for his crimes and his just like his reckless behavior with no repercussions. There are no repercussions for this man because he's working with others in the system to keep him freed, to keep him doing what he's doing. So let's do this. Stacey, give the people all of the information that they need to stand with you on Friday at 2 p.m. in Buffalo, New York.
There's a couple other wishes I have. Many people are hoping he finally gets remanded to jail. But another important wish I think we need a lot more publicity on is to get the media in the courts to stop calling this patronizing an underage prostitute. He is not properly charged. They, if you look through the document, they charged him with patronizing a prostitute. That's not what he did. He child sex trafficked a kid. That's 18 USC, I think 1512, child sex trafficking under color of law, no less. So,
And there's evidence here that proves this information. So it's not made
yes.
up, it's not slander, and it's not even allegedly, because clearly it's in these documents from the court of law, like the Supreme Court. And here are
Right.
a few things that are highlighted as well. Go ahead. Well, before we move to this next segment or this next part, because we're going to be here for just a few more moments, but I want to make sure that the people know where to meet you on Friday at 2 p.m. Go ahead and tell them that. Then we're going to get back to this document here.
Okay, I gotta just look in my, make sure I have the right, I'm pretty sure it's the courthouse in Lockport, New York, but I'm not sure. So let me just scroll to that and verify before I go announcing the wrong place.
Yes, we want them to make sure they find you on Friday. We want to make sure they find you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in right now, we just want you to understand that this is serious. We have Stacy here who is sharing a true testimony of somebody while she's looking for the exact address, because we don't want to get anybody lost. We don't need you guys coming back to Anaya A. We want you to understand something. This is serious. The man that she's referring to is actually known in the system. He's an attorney, and he is friends with her ex-husband, and they share the same proclivities. They share the same activities, in the sense that they are doing the same criminal activities, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no repercussion for them. We have the document right here. Thank you so much, Hanif Salam. Brother Hanif Salam is with us, and we need the ACLU to join us as well, or any other entity that can join us. On Friday, there's going to be a court hearing where D'Angelo has to go back to court after not being arraigned, after not, being indicted for 3 years, walking free. So he was able to commit more heinous crimes in the community. Now, I want you all to understand the crimes that he's presently going down for are not as reckless as, rape or abusing a child, whereas they're utilizing a different verbiage or what have you. However, this is still against the law, what he's doing, and there needs to be action behind him going to prison. Any other person would get indicted and would go to jail. Now he's out here committing fraud during elections so that he doesn't go to jail. I need you guys to understand what is going on. And if it seems like I'm super passionate, I need you to understand why. When you see the writing on the wall, like I do, I'm somebody that's constantly behind the scenes, involved in different cases. Matter of fact, perfect segment. Ben Crump, not even Donald Trump. Let's forget about Donald Trump's craziness. Let's talk to Ben Crump. If you all know, like I know, this man is the busiest attorney in the world. He is a close friend. He's my mentor. He's my leader. I'm going to be reaching out to Ben Crump about this. Civil rights attorney, Ben Crump. He will have this recording. He will know everything that's going on. I don't bother him every day with every single case that I hear of, but he's going to know about the foster care task force very soon. Why do I share that? Because I hit him up periodically with different things going on. And even when I'm on the radio, I was on WBLS once, and there was a question regarding, immigration and different issues. I referred to advice that I got from my best friend, Ben Crump. And what happened? My brother, Asim Muhammad, texted him at that moment and asked him for a quote in regards to what I was referring to. And at that moment, he responded, because they go way back. So those brothers knew that I wasn't lying, and it was said on the radio, everything that attorney Ben Crump said. So why do I say this? In regards to what Miss Stacy is sharing tonight and what all these ladies have encountered and dealt with, we have to go out and not only get advice from attorneys in our community, but as you've heard tonight, we've tried that. We've tried going to the leaders. We've tried going to the politicians. In the case of Stacy, right? Her ex-husband is an attorney. So with cases like these, we have to step up our game, and we have to go as far as a class action suit in a lot of these cases, because nobody else may be able to touch a case like this. So of course, I will be reaching out to my best friend, civil rights attorney of the century, Ben Crump, but we have to get as much information and knock on as many doors as possible, so that when we go to him as a collective, he can say, there's no way he can turn this case away, because his office needs to be able to help investigate why our children are in the situations that they're in, and how do we get them out. Stacy, do you have an update with that location, my dear?
Yes, it is. It is. I was correct. It's 2:00 p.m. at the Niagara County Courthouse in Lockport. The address is 175 Hawley Street. And there's going to be a protest out in front of the building, I believe, starting at 1:00 as well.
Perfect. Repeat the address again for us, for those that didn't catch it.
175 Hawley Street in Lockport, New York, in the Niagara County Courthouse. And this is a hearing on Nicholas D'Angelo.
And there will be a protest as well.
Correct.
I love to hear the word protest. So that's on, yeah, so I'm sending a message out to Pamela Clark. Please join Stacy Sonalitter. This is going on Facebook at 2 p.m.
Yes.
on Friday. This is how we get things done, ladies and gentlemen. We don't wait till after the show is aired for us to make that connection on Friday. What is that date? Because I want to make sure I get that date.
31st,
April 1st?
31st. right?
Oh, 30, that'll be 31st.
March 31st. Yes.
March 31st. Thank you very much. 3/31, because we're getting things done here. We're not playing with D'Angelo. 3/31, in the at 175 Hawley
Hawley.
Street
Yes.
in Niagara.
In Lockport, New York, which is
Oh.
Niagara County, in the Niagara County Courthouse. Yes.
Lockport, New York.
Yep.
Which is in Niagara County Courthouse.
Correct. There's another problem, because this, it affects me as well. My ex being an attorney, just like Nicholas D'Angelo, both, former Niagara County CPS attorneys, my ex being a Niagara County public defender. I have serious concerns about the location of these hearings. They should not be held within the Niagara County Courthouse, because that's where he practices frequently.
Exactly.
They think with bringing in a visiting judge that this isolates his case, but it does not, because all the court staffers, all the court officials are familiar with him. And in my own personal case, over 30 material documents were obstructed from my official court record. Material documents, not like little tiny who cares about this or that piddly things. Material documents were obstructed from my record over the course of 10 years. This is likely to happen in this case as well, where the clerk's office will not be filing things to the case and be obstructing certain records, because this happened so profusely in my own case.
I hope you all are catching this. For those that don't know anything about court and law and the justice or judicial system, what she's basically saying in layman's terms is the homeboy situation is real out here in Niagara County, New York. In other words, they are playing mad games. See, I'm gonna break it down in the best way I know for my peoples that may just be following or tuning in. They playing games out here with people's lives, because D'Angelo been out here with the homies. They are all in it together, and more than likely, he will not go to jail unless some action is taken. So I had to break it down in such a way for people to be like, they on it. So we just put out a message to Pamela Clark. She is my sister. She says, I will stay in contact. Pamela Clark is on it. She is in your neck of the woods, and that's my sister in the city that you're in. Well, next door. She's in Cheektowaga, Buffalo. you're in some part of, either way, y'all gonna meet up eventually, and she will give me a full report because we are under also a very powerful leader. And I haven't said his name tonight because I know when I say that name, it's gonna ruffle a lot of feathers. But what I will say is she is on it. She just responded. So thank you,
Pamela.
Yes. So Pamela Clark, my sister, stay in touch with Sister Stacy, because in Buffalo, I need a full report that D'Angelo goes to prison for his actions. Because you know what? If they're saying that he said something about a prostitute instead of calling it what it is, which is molestation, rape of a minor, etc., a 16-year-old girl is not a prostitute. A 16-year-old is a minor. And if other young men, mostly Black men, go to prison when they're about 17, 18 for possibly having, sexual activities with somebody 15 or 16, and a grown man like Nicholas D'Angelo needs to be held accountable, and that whole book needs to be thrown at him. Furthermore, that good old boy system needs to be exposed, because as we can see, it's been happening for too long and there has not been any accountability. That's how Anaya A breaks this down for the people that's watching today. Y'all hear me? Don't make me listen. I'll be in Buffalo soon. It won't be on Friday, but I'm gonna have to take a trip with my bullhorn. Lisa Davis, where you at? Hanif, where you at? Brother Hanif Salam. We coming to Buffalo to make sure that things are okay. Matter of fact, let me take the time. Thank you, Stacy, for sharing this. Is there anything else that you want to say about this particular case? As you can see, Stacy highlighted for us, y'all. It says, look, let me read this. Well, read this portion here. Mr. D'Angelo is an attorney. What does it say? Because this is blocking, so I can't read this part. Can you read this part, please?
Mr. D'Angelo is an attorney. He was admitted in 2018. He practices here in Niagara County, appears before every court in this county, which again is my concern, that his trials should not be taking place in the court he practices in regularly.
Unbelievable. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Pamela Clark is on top of it now that she knows what's going on in her neck of the woods. Lolita Allen, and you know what? After Miss Lolita, let's have closing remarks, because I don't want anybody to leave us tonight without knowing how they can join forces, how they can stay in touch, and furthermore, how they can join the foster care task force. So after Lolita's statement, question, concern, whatever it is, each one of you will have a chance to lead us out in your closing statements.
I'll be quick. To pick up where Stacy was talking about how her things were taken out of her record.
Thank you.
Just because you see them typing in court, they're not typing everything that's being said. So for people who think that, I've had people say, they're typing everything. No, they're not. And I drove in the snow and in the rain, and it was a real nasty day, trying to get evidence to the court for my daughter. And I'm dragging this handicapped child with me in the wheelchair. And I take the information to the lawyer so they can't say I didn't get it in time. And none of it was admitted in the case, in the court, when they went before the judge and the prosecutor. And then I get the record, I go and get the copy of the court report. And I said, now I know. They use fancy words to justify why they didn't use the evidence that would incriminate the director of special services here in Willingboro that assaulted me at an IEP meeting, literally tried to snatch me out of my chair. And you can't video record it, but you can audio record it, and you could hear me struggling. And she forgot she was on recording. And I said to her, so you're snatching me and snatching papers out of my hand? And she said, yes, I am. But they didn't admit none of that.
And you still have that recording to this day?
I still have it. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. We are creating, let me tell you, it's all about a paper trail, and it's all about having the information readily accessible for the next phase of what we're about to do here. Because like I said, and I know how you feel, Ms. Lolita Allen, in regards to going before another attorney, hold on just a little bit stronger and longer. because we are going to get justice for all of you. You know, I can't make any promises, but when Anaya A says something, trust and believe. I'm going to the ends with you all because I have seen firsthand what they've been doing. And I also was a victim of this system, not as a foster care child myself, but I've seen so many things. And on another night, I'll be sharing my personal testimony and why I'm fighting so hard for you parents out there and for the reunification of families. But let's be honest, why do I have to share it on the next segment? In the next couple of seconds, let me just share this. It's obvious. We have too many broken homes, too many broken families, and we have to do something. For those that are in the church who just turn a blind eye, I don't want to even go down the Holy Ghost church route, but that's another issue within itself. For those that are a part of the legal system that turn a blind eye, for those that are in, legal spaces or in, politics who keep turning a blind eye, why do you think our world is like it is? We need help. Our children need help. Again, let me shout out the one and only politician, and I hope none of these other politicians are jealous when I say this, but I don't care. Kevin C. Riley, who is standing up against the grain. Thank you. Thank you. Clap it up for Kevin C. Riley. Clap it up. Clap it up. This brother cares, and we've already met with him, right? And we are going to meet with him again. Kevin C. Riley has a heart for the youth, has a heart for the community, and it's literally community over corruption. It's literally community over chaos, community over, complacency. I mean, he made a term the other night when he was on the Avril Francis show, and he said community over something, but I'm going to say community over corruption because I feel like that's what he said. Either way, we'll be meeting with Kevin C. Riley very soon, as well as a task force to say that we need help, we need resources, we need a politician who can stand up with us. Because listen to these cases. Is this normal behavior? This is not right. Jayla needs her grandmother. Stacy needs all four of her children. And Miss Vaughn needs Taeva, and Taeva needs her. At this time, we have about 6 minutes. Let's share where everybody can find each and every one of you and how we can help you move forward. Miss Vaughn, since we haven't heard from you, would you like to share? And then we can go back to Miss Stacy and we can close it out with Miss Lolita Allen.
Oh, please accept my apology. I am somewhat technologically challenged. I'm not able to hear you, but I do want to thank you. Like I said, great inspiration. I appreciate you having this platform and sharing with me, my family. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. I'm blowing you kisses. I'm blowing you kisses. We love you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we want to get to the bottom of this. Like I said, I've been searching for years for anybody to listen. The first thing people say, you must have did something wrong. But it doesn't take that. It really doesn't. If they want your child, they will come. Don't give up. I just want to inspire some people. Be fearless. Just, don't give up. And don't think it can't happen to you, because that's the other thing they say. You don't have to do anything wrong, but when they finish knocking on my door, guess whose door they might knock on next?
That part. And where are you located, Ms. Vaughn? In what town, in what community? And how do we stay in touch with you on social media, email, etc.?
I'm just right outside of Wilmington, North Carolina. And I'm on Bring Taeva Home Facebook, and I'm Vaughn the One.
And I want you to know that we have over 45 messages that came through, ladies, on our Facebook chat alone. We have, I don't know, maybe 40 messages on Instagram. We've been getting messages in the DM and text messages, but you all could publicly see the messages on Facebook. So you are able to interact with everybody who was watching and who sent in their comments. And we want you to know we are behind each and every one of you. And we're going to continue to fight until Taeva comes home. So God bless you. And we thank you. And make sure you interact with all of them that are there for you in the group. And and another thing about her, whoever's in South Carolina, North Carolina, whoever is in the Geechee counties there, we need a team of people to listen to her case, to stand in the gap with her, and to help bring Taeva home. This is a call to action. So South Carolina, North Carolina, where y'all at? I'll tag some of you later. But a lot of you have been watching. And if you're watching and you have those connections, make it happen. Next, Miss Stacy Sonalitter. Last closing remarks. How can people find you? How can we help you? How can we stand with you?
People can find me. I am on Facebook, and they can, search me by my name, Stacy Sonletter. I also do a page locally, Erie, Niagara County Dishonorable Honorables, and I expose the corruption going on in our area so that people can be aware. Our New York State Constitution gives the public the right to know what our taxpayer dollars, how they're performing in our agencies, and I report it and I make it available to the public. Right now, our Niagara County Sheriff's Forensic Office is under fire for not properly analyzing drugs and evidence. So that's one of the hot topics occurring right now. Again, you'll see a lot of nepotism throughout that investigation. Also, I started up a court watching group, and my greatest wish is that people learn to do this and it becomes a regular part of every community, where people go in as citizens and have a greater participation in our courts and go in and watch these cases. I did a lot of work locally, and people might think of me as a nuisance, but I'm proud of the work I did, because our courts in New York State recognize the public right of access, and they no longer shut us out in family court cases. So I want that to happen everywhere. I want people to go in and fill the courtrooms when these controversial cases especially are occurring, and don't leave those seats in the courtroom empty. Watch as court watchers, and even consider filing non-party witness affidavits to the cases that you watch. That gives more of a public perception that we are their employers, because we are.
Point blank, period. That's what a lot of people fail to understand. And for you that's watching tonight, if you didn't think you had power, stay in touch with Miss Stacy Sonalitter, because I forgot she talked about this last night on our call. This sister ain't playing. She said we have the power to sit up in the courtroom, take notes, and know exactly what's going on. That's a sister that we need on our side of the tracks, because she's able to get that thing together. And just like all three of these beautiful ladies, right? They are standing up against the abusers, literally. And the abusers happen to be CPS and these other entities that are snatching our children. Thank you, Miss Stacy. Miss Lolita, your turn to share how we can stay in touch with you. And then another thing, if any of you have a Bible scripture or even a positive quote to reinforce positive thinking to our community, please do share that with the community. And I just thought about it. I'm going to end with a very special video, and I want us all to do the actions that's in this video clip. And I will close us out with this video. It's only 8 minutes long, but I want all of us to follow the lead of this very powerful speaker. Go ahead, Miss Lolita Allen. How can we stay in touch with you?
Oh, thank you so much. This was such a blessing to be able to be here on this platform. And I wanted to say why anyone should be a part of this platform. And I'm going to speak first to the parents out there that have had their children taken and that they have been victimized by CPS. We initially, until we get through the pain, we are so angry. And
Yes.
Anaya will tell you that I did not want to tell anyone else my story anymore. I was just done with it, because the reason was because you just felt like you're telling your story and there's no action behind it. So, the scripture I wanted to share is in James, James 1:19, when the Lord tells them to remember this, my dear brothers, let everyone be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And I say that to the parents that have been victimized, because if I would have continued in my state of anger, I would have never accepted the invitation by Lisa Davis from the Black is Back Coalition and the Huru movement. And I would have never met Anaya, and I would never be here speaking. I would have never met Stacy and Vaughn. And this has been a blessing. And the other thing I wanted to say is that compassion is an action with no boundaries. And we need action from parents that haven't been victimized, because they look at us as we're just all angry parents. But when we get enough people behind us that haven't been victimized by this system and don't turn a blind eye and stand up for what is wrong, we can save another child from being beaten, abused, sexually abused, physically abused, and even end up dead. There's been so many stories recently about children that have been killed. And as a result of this, I started my own business called Operation Taking Our Children Back. And you can go to www.operationtakingourchildrenback.com. Please do .com, because there's another one with the same name, but it's .org. And on there, you can see what I'm about. And my main goal is ultimately to bring our children home. But we also need to raise money to do that, because we're fighting companies that have trillions and trillions of dollars. And not only just for lawyers, but because they have stripped us financially, we can't keep jobs. And it's just difficult for us financially to support ourselves. And that's a part of their game, because if we can't support ourselves financially, then they have a reason to say we can't get our children back. So I'm asking for any amount, but I did specify that if everyone could donate $52, that's $1 for every week of the year. And you'd be surprised at how powerful that $52 can do to change the lives of a family and hopefully save a child.
Thank you so much. And at this time, I want you all to know how special these ladies are to me. Denise Jones just said how much she learned tonight. Our other sister, Annabelle, was just so, happy to be a part. She said insightful as well as informative. In the last closing minutes, sometimes I forget who I'm connected to. Taylove, sorry, I think it's Taylove. Taylove Max says, Taeva needs her sisters and her brothers, her aunties, her family, and she's absolutely right. As of late, I have been replaying and posting the video that I did, or the segment I did on the Dr. Oz show, because as a lot of people know, but some don't, I've taken the playbook of Dr. Oz, and that's why I'm creating the Anaya A show for these stories, but also to, get people's businesses out there, information, etc. And for whatever reason, it just dawned on me that another really big person that I could be reaching out to is Tony Robbins. I don't know if you all have heard of Tony Robbins, the mega, speaker. And I have direct contact with his team as well. I've been on a platform with him. However, I want us to get all of this stuff together first. And then again, we can reach out to not only Tony Robbins, who's amazing, but we can also reach out again to my best friend, my mentor, the honorable, amazing attorney Ben Crump. Now, why did I share that about Tony Robbins? Again, I've been sharing it lately, and people have been seeing me on, YouTube, it replays, because we have over 4.2 million views already since we did that airing. But another thing about that was Tony Robbins is actually a super giver to children and families, because he was actually abused as a child. And a lot of people don't know his backstory of the abuse he faced from his mom and from his stepdad, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And here's the difference. Tony Robbins was abused by his actual parents and family and guardians. But here we have families that are not abusing the children and who are saying, just give us a chance to reunify with our babies. Stacy, and then we're going to play this video. And I want you all, even on Facebook, to join us as we do the actions that is required to get away from these negative thoughts. Go ahead, Stacy. Last.
Sure, spiritual, a scripture. So to come full circle on the isms and schisms and the advocacy I speak of for court watching, Luke 11, this cronyism and nepotism and terrible lawyers and so forth is not new. Jesus spoke of it in the Bible in Luke 11. Woe ye lawyers and experts of law. I'm sorry, we're also talking about bringing lawyers in to help us, but this is in the Bible, so.
No, we know. Go ahead, sister.
And Jesus, the cure to the corruption in the Bible is literally transparency in the courts. That which has been whispered in ears and inner rooms will be proclaimed from rooftops. That which has been spoken in darkness will be brought to light. And Jesus walked out to the thousands of onlookers. That's court watchers. This is the cure. One of the necessary elements of fixing our problem is getting people to participate, the public to participate as employers in our courtrooms.
Not only that, but don't forget, when they were doing the corruption in the temple, Jesus flipped the tables. Do you all remember that scripture?
Mhm.
So you're absolutely right. And one of the reasons why we go into church, don't have me to go into church tonight because we'd be here all night. Listen, one of the reasons why I respect Jesus's, skills and abilities so much was because he fought against those that were in power, that were abusing the least of these.
Mhm.
The Lolita Allens, the Anaya A's, the Von Don Juan, the Stacey's, but all those that are being abused as we speak in the system. Jesus walked the earth to set the captive free. And if people could understand that in layman's terms again, that's literally breaking the code of the nepotism that these crooks have. Let's do our crimes and let's not talk about it. I wash your hand if you wash mine. I scratch your back if you scratch mine. And Jesus was like, no. So absolutely. Miss Vaughn, did you have a scripture or anything that you wanted to share? I thank you both, ladies. If not, don't worry about it. We'll share it the next go around because we're going to shut it down with this video and we're going to break negative thoughts. And you may recognize somebody here in this video clip.
But it's hard.
I want you all to do the exercise.
A distance, because then I was in local time, right? And you gotta get, which is hard to do.
And it's 50 hours.
It's 50 hours.
No immersion.
He's known for making lasting change. And I'm gonna ask you if you
We're buffering because there's a part in here that I want everybody to do.
50 hours.
It's 50 hours. He's known for making lasting change. And I'm gonna ask you if you can combine 50 hours worth of wisdom into 5 or so minutes. So take it away.
All right. So I've heard a little bit, but just tell me real fast, what if there's one concern you have, what is it for you?
Anxiety.
Anxiety. And what tends to trigger that?
I feel like I'm at the point in my life where I need to figure out what I'm doing with my life, like right now.
Okay. And so that pressure inside is really big. How about for yourself?
Fear, failure, loss.
Okay. And what causes that? What triggers that most for you?
I've had losses in life. I've had losses, from my family.
Ellen Hansel was able
You
to
see
win
how they just
any
throw in
competition
any
she
old
took part in.
advertisement
She
on
was known as the
purpose?
contest
Hold on, ladies.
because
We're gonna be here for 5 more minutes, but I want you all to do this exercise that Tony Robbins shares.
And, I've always been really success oriented. So like I always want to exceed. I'm kind of an overachiever in a sense.
If you don't, it's not consistent with your identity, so it creates a pain.
Exactly.
I get it. How about for you?
I'm a business owner, and just like getting people on board with my idea, I don't have that niche market.
Okay.
And so doing my business plan has been so difficult because I'm creating something that's new.
Okay.
And it's like, it's failure almost too, like in a sense where how do I succeed and get people on board and invest and, make this world a better place through my idea?
And real quick,
I get overwhelmed, and right now I'm overwhelmed because I just found out my mom has stage 3 ovarian cancer. And yesterday I was in Toronto with her and literally drove home so I could be here with you.
Wow.
So I could get your perspective on it, because I'm trying to stay super positive, but I also have to manage my life.
Yes.
And I live here, so sorting that out.
Let me, in a couple of minutes, let me just introduce all of you to just a simple understanding of concept. All of you have targets, things that you're after.
We're all
If you're
after
gonna get
our
a new
children
result,
and
if you're going to
grandchildren.
grow your business, if you're going to be able to support your mom, if you're going to get rid of the anxiety, if you're going to be able to overachieve and not have all that fear inside of you, you obviously need to get a new result. You're going to have to get new action. We all know that. You don't get new results with old actions doing the same thing. What human beings can do, this is a human being, believe it or not, I majored in art. What human beings can do is amazing. What they will do is usually disappointing. It's not because we're not capable of it. It's because we don't have new actions, because we get in certain emotional states that dominate us, like anxiety, like fear of failure, right? Like fear of the loss of your mother as an example. So if you're in a state of fear, you're going to behave very differently and get very different results. That's what I'm right there. And then if you were in a place of being courageous or bold or warm or connected or playful, any of those. So the most important key to changing your life in any situation is to change results, you got to change behavior, but to change behavior, you got to change the emotional state you're in. How do you do that when you don't feel like it, right? Or it feels overwhelming? There are two ways, and I've done this with the greatest athletes in the world. I've done this with 4 different presidents of the United States. I've done it with billionaire clients. All you have to do to change your state is not try to think your way there. Like, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Do a bunch of affirmations. Your brain's going to go, BS, you are not happy, right? What you need to do is make a radical change the way you use what we call your physiology. It's a big word. It just means the way you use your physical body. The way I'm speaking right now, because I got 5 minutes also, is sped up this little bit. But if I said to you, there's a depressed person behind curtain number 1 over there, and I'll donate $100,000 to your best charity, your favorite charity, if you could describe what they're like physically, tell me what's their posture like if they're depressed. You tell me.
Slumped over.
Slump. Where's their head? Where's their head?
Down.
Down. Are they breathing full or shallow?
Shallow.
And are they talking really fast or more slow?
Slow.
Loud or quiet?
Probably quiet.
And you're all saying the same thing. How's that possible? You've all practiced this crap before. But here's what you can find. If you take that same person and you change the tempo at which they move, you bring their shoulders back, you change their breathing pattern, if they make a faster gesture, if they speak more rapidly, it fires off a different biochemistry in you. And in that state, you will take radically different actions. In fact, I've taught this for 40 years. And about 3 years ago, Harvard finally did a study where they proved what I did worked, and they called it these power positions. And what they showed
Let's
was,
do the
if you
power
stand up this for a moment.
You all
I want
don't have to
everybody home
stand
to
up,
try
but I
as well.
want you to
Do something really
listen to what he
Hold your
says.
hands on
This
your
is
hips like
free
Wonder Woman or
information.
Superman and that stuff, right? If you stand like this and you breathe deep for just 2 minutes, what the science found was that you will absolutely increase your testosterone by 20%, man or woman. You'll drop your cortisol, which, as you know, is the stress hormone, by 22%, and you're 33% more likely to take action with you wouldn't have before, because fear would have stopped you. I don't have people just stand like this. I have people use their voice, make radical changes in
Walk
their
on
body.
fire.
Just to get a feel. I know we're short on time, but you can try it later and you'll feel it after 2 minutes. Or, somebody who's, put their arms back like this, their feet up, that'll produce the same state. It produces more certainty in you. And that certainty gets you to take different actions. So if you are in a situation, you think of the worst scenario, your mom dying, my business goes under, I never achieve at the level I need to, all the things I have anxiety about, the minute you focus on them, you go into those states of fear, and then you behave fearful, and you get lousy results. And when you get lousy results, what does it do to your brain? You go, see, I told you I couldn't do this. It becomes this negative loop. So how do we break out of it? We change our focus by asking better questions. Everybody in this room can try this. Just right now, answer this question in your mind. What is it in your life that you're proud of? If there's something you can feel really proud of right now,
What are you proud of, ladies?
your children,
Think
yourself,
about it.
something accomplished you
What are you
did.
proud of? Say it.
Think of
Just
something
say
you
it.
can feel proud of.
Something
I
you're
don't
proud
mean
of.
fake pride, ego pride, like where you're making things up. I mean,
Just
you really
say
have
it.
something you're proud of.
That's my
Right now,
ability
close your eyes.
to persevere.
Focus on.
Ability to what?
Proud.
Persevere.
What's in that
Amen.
moment you're proud of?
Stacey, what are you proud of?
How do you
Quick.
breathe when you feel really proud?
Um,
And if you're a little kid, what happens to your face when you're really proud?
I don't know. I got to pass. Look.
Hey, there's that big smile on your face.
Vaughn,
Hey,
what are you
everybody
proud of
doing these
yourself?
feelings right now? Everyone here, just say "I" if you got it. Aye. Awesome. Try one more real fast.
Proud that my family is able to stand behind me.
Be grateful for.
Amen.
or excited. Pick
Whatever
either
you're
one.
grateful for
Be
is the
grateful for a
same
person,
thought.
a moment,
Think of the
or
things
something
that
if you
you
wanted to
have
be
in your
excited.
life
Let's use
that
excited.
you're grateful for, that you're happy for, that you're proud of. When you keep thinking these positive thoughts, you will generate these positive feelings and you will attract everything that you desire. That's why Tony Robbins does these examples. And here's the closing remarks.
How many can think of something in your life that if you focused on it, you could feel excited?
I bet all of us
Close your
can,
eyes.
no matter what we're going
Just for a
through.
moment, all we're doing is changing your focus. Focus on what could excite you. Feel like it's really happening. Your mom's healing, you break through in the business, you're achieving all you want. Anxiety is rid from my life. I'm on charge, I'm on top of it. How do you breathe when you feel really excited? And then try this. When you're a little kid, you probably made noises for the hell of it until people told you not to. And make the noise of excitement, a sound of excitement. Go ahead and
Make a sound, joke.
Open your eyes. How many feel that feeling in your body right now?
Yeah.
So if we change the state you're in, just by changing our focus or the way we use our bodies, strongly. Now, if you say, I'm going to change my body, like I have people do firewalk sometimes or skydiving.
I did
They
it.
go scared. They go, Mr. Robbins said that I should change my physiology. Okay. Oh, shoot, it didn't work. It's got to be a radical change, right? Here's my question for all of you. If you focus on what you want, life has probabilities. There's no guarantees, but you increase them when you change your state. And that's really what this is all about. Learning to change your body and learning to change your focus. I'm going to invite all 4 of you to seminar so you'll experience this for 4 days.
All right, that's what I wanted to show you all. Be grateful and thankful for whatever is happening. Does it suck what you all are going through? Absolutely. Does it suck that we have to keep fighting? It does. And when I got the opportunity to meet Tony Robbins on that platform and spend that time with him, I was going through hell, ladies. I was going through depression, and I thought my world was going to end for a number of reasons. But you know what? And I have to say it publicly because we're going to tag Tony Robbins and we're going to go full circle and hopefully he'll respond to us. The producers on the Dr. Oz show watched me, watched my Facebook posts, watched me not giving up no matter what I was going through, knowing some of the issues I was battling. As producers, that's their job, to watch and to listen. And they saw that no matter what, I never gave up. And I got the call to meet with the biggest motivational speaker in the entire world. Ladies, that day changed my life because you know why? Not because it was only about Tony Robbins. Like, yeah, the free gift was great. You know, all of that was wonderful because I did go to Chicago and spend time with him in this amazing way with this program. But what did it for me? And that's why I had to share this tonight, was the fact that people saw me never giving up. And that's the same thing I see for each one of you. The ability to never give up during your darkest days. And you better believe, like they were watching me, and like my favorite producer, Christian, called me to give me this opportunity, somebody I can guarantee is watching tonight. And somebody is going to make a phone call and we're going to get some answers. So I want you all to stay encouraged, breathe, scream when we get off of this line tonight, go outside, scream at the top of your lungs if you have to. If you live in a quiet neighborhood, go get a paper bag and breathe in a paper bag and puff on that air. Do whatever you have to do. But remind yourselves what you're the most grateful for, what you're happy about. Remind yourselves that you will have access to your children again and that they're coming home. The more you think of the positive thoughts, that's what's going to occur. I love each and every one of you ladies. And I know we were supposed to have an hour, maybe a 2-hour call tonight. It ended up being almost 3. But guess what? We now have an action plan for Friday in Buffalo. We now have a team that will be meeting up with Stacy in Buffalo. We know where you all are to stay in touch. And I just ask that you respond to some of the comments in the comments on Facebook Live, and you share anything else that you need from the community, because we are here for all of you. With that being said, and with love in my heart, and joy, because I know I will see great things happening for these 3 ladies and many more. We're going to say goodnight, but it's not goodbye. It's just goodnight. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you for
God
tuning
bless
in.
you too. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Anaya A Show. We'll be back.